Rain was falling softly outside the small apartment window. The sound of raindrops touched everything, the glass, the roof, and the heart of a little girl named Mia. She sat near the window, holding her favorite toy, a small teddy with one missing ear. The light in the room was dim and the smell of wet earth filled the air. Her father, Ryan, was sitting on the couch, tired after a long day of work. His shirt was still wet from the rain and his eyes looked heavy, full of pain and sleepless nights. He was reading a small bedtime storybook for Mia, but his voice was soft, almost breaking. Suddenly, Mia looked up at him with her big brown eyes and asked in a quiet voice, "Daddy, where's Mommy?" Ryan froze for a second. His lips trembled. He didn't know what to say. This was not the first time she had asked, but every time. It felt like a knife cutting his heart again. He slowly smiled and said, "Mommy is. She's busy, sweetheart." Mia's eyes filled with tears. She whispered, "I miss her. I miss Daddy too." Ryan looked confused. "But I'm here, Mia. I'm your daddy." Mia shook her head and said something that made Ryan stop breathing for a moment. I miss the happy daddy, the one who used to laugh with Mommy." Ryan looked down. His heart felt heavy. He didn't have an answer. For a few moments, there was silence, only the sound of rain and the ticking of the small wall clock. Then, Ryan took a deep breath, looked into Mia's eyes, and softly said something strange. "You miss Daddy. Don't worry. You'll have one tonight." Mia blinked. "Really?" she asked, smiling through her tears. Ryan nodded slowly, but his eyes looked far away like he was thinking of something deep, something painful. The little girl went to bed, holding her teddy close. The room was dark, except for a small lamp near her bed. Ryan stood near the door watching her sleep. He whispered to himself, "You'll have one tonight. I promise." He turned off the light and walked into the living room. The rain outside was heavier now, and thunder rolled in the distance. On the table, there was a photo frame, a picture of Ryan, his wife Emily, and baby Mia. They were smiling. It's full of love and life. Ryan picked up the photo, touched Emily's face, and whispered, "I wish you could see her now. She misses you every night. And maybe I do too." A tear rolled down his cheek. He sat down, holding the picture close to his chest. The camera could almost see his thoughts, his guilt, his sadness, his secret. Something was hidden in his eyes, something the audience didn't know yet. Then a flash of lightning filled the room and the power went out. The only light came from the street lamp outside the window. Mia's teddy fell on the floor, and she mumbled in her sleep, "Mommy, don't go." Ryan walked to her room slowly, picked up the teddy, and covered her with a blanket. He looked at her peaceful face and said softly, "Maybe tonight you'll see her, Mia. Maybe tonight you'll have both your parents again." He turned and looked once more at the photo on the wall. Emily's smiling face seemed to look back at him through the darkness. The rain grew louder, as if the world was crying with him, and then the faint sound of a woman's voice came from the kitchen. Ryan froze. He turned his head slowly. The audience could hear it too, a gentle whisper, almost like a memory returning from the past. "Ryan." The voice was soft but clear. Ryan's heart started beating faster. He walked toward the kitchen, his hands shaking. The room was empty. No one was there. Only the window was open, letting the cold wind in. He closed it slowly, but before turning away, he saw something on the glass, a small handprint, faint and warm, like someone had just touched it. Morning sunlight entered the small apartment, touching the picture frame on the wall. The photo of Ryan, Emily, and baby Mia still smiled brightly, frozen in time, untouched by pain. But Ryan's eyes were heavy with memories. He sat at the table, holding his cold cup of coffee. The sound of the clock ticking felt louder than usual. His mind drifted back to a time when everything was perfect. 3 years ago, life was full of laughter. Ryan and Emily had just moved into their new home. Ryan worked as a mechanic, and Emily was a part-time teacher. They didn't have much, but they had love, and for them, that was enough. On weekends, they would dance in the kitchen while making pancakes. Mia, only a few months old, would giggle in her crib, clapping her tiny hands. The sound of her laughter filled the air like music. Emily used to say, "We may not have a lot, but we have each other. That's all I need." But slowly, life began to change. Ryan started working longer hours at the garage. Bills were piling up. Emily often sat near the window, waiting for him to come home, holding a baby bottle in one hand and unpaid letters in the other. When Ryan came home late, smelling of oil and metal, she would ask softly, "Did you eat?" He would just nod and say, "I'm fine. Go to sleep." Days turned into months. The love that once filled their home began to fade into silence. Emily felt alone. Ryan felt tired. They both were standing in the same house, but living in two different worlds. One evening, it rained just like tonight. Emily waited for Ryan again, but he didn't come home until midnight. His face looked tired, his eyes empty. She said quietly, "Ryan, we need to talk." He sighed. "Not tonight, Emily. I can't do this now." But Emily couldn't hold it anymore. Her voice cracked. "You're losing me, Ryan. You don't even see it. I'm doing all this for you and Mia. Don't make me feel like I'm failing." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "You're not failing, Ryan. You're just forgetting what matters." The argument grew louder. Words turned into pain. Love turned into anger. Emily cried, "I miss the man who used to smile when he looked at me. I miss my husband," Ryan shouted back, "and I miss my wife who used to believe in me." Then, silence. Just the sound of rain. Emily walked to the bedroom, packed a small bag, and kissed Mia on the forehead. Ryan saw her standing at the door. His voice was soft, broken. "Where will you go?" She didn't answer. She just looked back and said, "Maybe somewhere I can remember how to breathe again." The door closed, and that was the last time Ryan saw her. Days passed. Weeks became months. Ryan searched everywhere. He called her family, her friends, even the old places they used to visit. No one knew where she was. It was as if she had disappeared into thin air. He kept working. He kept living. But something inside him had died the night she left. Every night, he would sit beside Mia's crib, whispering, "Mommy will come home soon?" But even he didn't believe it anymore. Sometimes, he heard her voice in his dreams, soft like wind. "Take care of her, Ryan. Don't let her forget me." He would wake up sweating, his heart racing, the echo of her words still floating in the dark. And so, the cheerful home became silent. The laughter was gone, replaced by the soft cries of a little girl missing her mother and a father trying to hide his guilt. Ryan never told anyone. What really happened that night? What words were said before Emily left? Or why he never called the police? Maybe because deep down he believed she would return. But now, 3 years later, after hearing that voice again in the kitchen, Ryan began to wonder. Maybe Emily never really left. Morning came with the sound of a crying alarm and a crying child. Ryan opened his tired eyes. The same routine, the same emptiness. He looked at the photo on his bedside table, Emily's smiling face beside baby Mia. He whispered, "Good morning, Em," before forcing himself to get up. The kitchen smelled of burnt toast. The coffee machine made strange noises, but Ryan didn't care. He was running late again. Mia, now 5, sat at the table with messy hair and sleepy eyes. She was drawing something with her crayons. Ryan placed a small bowl of cereal in front of her. "Eat fast. We're late for school," he said. Mia looked up, holding her crayon. "Daddy, I made a picture for Mommy." Ryan stopped. He looked at the paper. It showed 3 stick figures, a man, a woman, and a little girl, all holding hands under a rainbow. At the top, in her uneven handwriting, Mia had written, "Our family together soon." "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Mia asked. "Do you think Mommy will see it?" Ryan's throat felt dry. "Maybe she already did," he whispered. After dropping Mia at school, Ryan drove to the auto repair shop. The smell of oil and rubber filled the air. He fixed cars, changed tires, smiled at customers, but inside, he felt nothing. Every sound of a wrench reminded him of the night Emily walked out at lunch. He sat alone in the small break room, eating a cold sandwich. His coworker, Mark, looked at him and said, "You okay, man?" Ryan nodded. "Yeah, just tired," Mark sighed. "You're always tired. You ever think of taking a day off?" Ryan looked away. Single dads don't get days off. When the day ended, Ryan picked up Mia. She was waiting near the school gate, holding her art notebook close to her chest. When she saw him, she ran and hugged him tight. For a moment, Ryan felt something light, something like peace. That night, he cooked spaghetti, the same meal Emily used to make every Friday. As they ate, Mia looked up and said, "Daddy, can we pray for Mommy tonight?" Ryan hesitated, then nodded. "Of course, sweetheart." After dinner, they sat near the small candle on the table. Mia closed her eyes and whispered, "Dear God, please tell Mommy we love her. And please don't let Daddy be sad anymore." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. He couldn't speak. When Mia went to bed, Ryan stayed awake, staring at the candlelight flickering on the wall. The shadows almost looked like someone was standing there watching him. He whispered, "Emily, if you're out there, give me a sign. Anything." The candle flickered sharply as if it had heard him. Ryan shook his head. "I'm losing it," he said softly. Days passed, the same way, work, home, bedtime stories, and quiet tears. But one evening something changed. Ryan came home early and found Mia sitting on the floor, talking to someone. "Who are you talking to, sweetie?" he asked gently. Mia smiled. "To Mommy." Ryan froze. "What did she say?" Mia replied, "She said she's happy you still keep her picture on the wall. She said thank you for the candle." Ryan's body turned cold. "Mia, where did you hear that?" She shrugged. "She told me when I was drawing." That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He checked every corner of the apartment, every window, every lock. Everything was normal. Yet he felt a strange warmth in the air, like someone unseen was moving softly around. He sat near the photo again and whispered, "Emily, are you really here?" Outside, the wind blew gently, and the candlelight danced again, brighter, warmer. Mia woke up and came out of her room. "Daddy, Mommy said she loves us," she murmured, half asleep before going back to bed. Ryan closed his eyes. A tear rolled down his cheek. He whispered to himself, "Maybe she never left. Maybe she's just watching over us." But deep down, a small voice in his heart whispered something else. "Maybe she's trying to tell you something." And as Ryan fell asleep on the couch, the photo frame on the wall tilted slightly on its own, as if touched by an invisible hand. The night was quiet. Ryan sat on the couch, the television still on, but the sound muted. The candle near the photo of Emily burned low, its small flame dancing like it had a mind of its own. He had tried to convince himself that everything was normal, that Mia's words were just imagination, but deep inside, something didn't feel right for the past few nights. Ryan had felt a strange presence in the house. Sometimes the kitchen light flickered on by itself. Sometimes he found Mia's drawings moved to the table even though she had left them in her room. Once he heard humming the same lullaby Emily used to sing for Mia. He tried to ignore it. But the truth was, he didn't want to, because every time those things happened, he felt less lonely. That night, as rain started again outside, Ryan's phone buzzed. A message appeared on the screen from an unknown number. It said, "She misses you both." He read it twice. Then again, his fingers trembled as he typed back, "Who is this?" No reply. He waited. Minutes passed. The message disappeared, deleted by the sender. He sat frozen, staring at the blank screen. The wind outside howled like a warning. Just then, Mia walked out of her room, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Daddy, did Mommy text you?" Ryan's mouth opened, but no words came out. "What did you say?" Mia smiled softly. "Mommy said she'll talk to you soon. She told me in my dream." Ryan felt a chill run through him. "Mia, what did she say exactly?" She said, "Tell Daddy not to be afraid. I'm closer than he thinks." Ryan's eyes filled with tears. He pulled her close and whispered, "Go back to bed, sweetheart." Mia hugged him tightly. "Don't cry, Daddy. Mommy said she's happy we light the candle." Ryan watched her walk back to her room. Then he turned toward the candle, and for a brief moment, the flame grew taller. Glowing bright white, he whispered, "Emily, is that you?" The light flickered twice as if answering. The next morning, Ryan tried to focus on work, but his mind wouldn't stop replaying the message. At lunch, he looked through his old phone contacts, wondering if someone was playing a cruel joke. He called Mark, his friend. "Hey, did you text me last night?" Mark laughed. "At midnight?" "No, man, why?" "Nothing," Ryan said quickly. "Just forget it." But he couldn't forget. When he got home, he found a piece of paper stuck on the fridge with a magnet. It wasn't there in the morning. It was a drawing, one of Mia's, showing a woman standing beside the candle, smiling. At the bottom, Mia had written, "Mommy was here." Ryan called out, "Mia, did you draw this?" Mia came running. "No, Daddy. I found it in my room when I woke up." Ryan felt his legs weaken. He sat down, staring at the paper. His eyes filled with tears again, but this time not from sadness, from something he couldn't name. Hope, fear, or both. That night, he couldn't sleep. The message, the candle, the drawing, it all felt connected. He sat near the window. The rain falling again, like it did years ago. He whispered to the darkness, "Emily, what do you want me to do?" The wind blew the curtains softly, and from somewhere deep in the night, a faint voice whispered back, "Listen, don't." Ryan looked around, heart pounding. The apartment was silent. Only the candle flickered beside Emily's photos. He whispered, "Listen to what?" No answer, just a quiet knock on the window. 3 soft taps. Ryan slowly turned his head. There, written faintly on the fogged glass, were the words, "I never left." Ryan's breath caught. He stepped closer, touched the words with his fingers. The glass was warm. Behind him, Mia's voice came softly from her room. "Half asleep, Daddy. Mommy says she'll show you tomorrow." Ryan looked back at the photo on the wall. Emily's smile seemed different now, softer, almost alive. He whispered, trembling, "Tomorrow." The candlelight shivered, and the rain suddenly stopped. Something was coming. And for the first time, Ryan didn't feel afraid. He felt ready. The sky was covered with dark clouds again, the kind that hide the moon and make the world feel smaller. Ryan stood near the window, watching the rain fall quietly. The words written on the glass, "I never left," were still there, faint but visible. He hadn't told anyone, not even Mia. Some part of him didn't want to break the magic all day. He had waited for what he didn't know. Mia had gone to school, smiling like nothing was strange. "Mommy said you'll smile tonight," she told him before leaving. Now it was night again. The same candle burned beside Emily's photo. Its flame was still, steady like it was waiting too. Ryan sat on the couch, his phone in hand. The message from the unknown number still haunted him. "She misses you both." He whispered, "Emily, if you can hear me, please. I'm listening." The clock ticked. The wind outside sighed softly. Then, a faint smell of lavender filled the air, Emily's favorite scent. Ryan stood up, heart pounding. "Emily." A soft voice whispered behind him, "Ryan." He turned quickly, but no one was there. It's only the candlelight flickering on the wall. Suddenly, the living room light blinked twice and went out. The apartment fell into darkness, except for that one candle. Ryan took a step forward. The air felt different, warmer, alive. Then, from Mia's room, came a small voice. "Daddy, Mommy's here." Ryan froze. "What did you say, sweetheart?" Mia's voice was calm, almost dreamy. "She's standing near the window. She said she's happy you finally believe." Ryan rushed to her room. The window was half open, the curtains moving gently in the wind. Mia was sitting on her bed, smiling at something Ryan couldn't see. "Mia, who are you talking to?" He whispered. Mia pointed. "Mommy." "Gah." Mia. "Mommy's not," but before he could finish, he felt a soft wind move past him. like someone brushing against his arm. Then he heard it, a whisper, so close it felt like breath. "Don't be afraid." The candle in the living room flickered wildly, then grew brighter, almost glowing white. The room was filled with light for a moment, and in that light, Ryan thought he saw her Emily, her face soft and peaceful, her eyes full of love. She was standing near Mia's bed, smiling not as a ghost, but like a memory that had come alive. Ryan stepped closer. His voice broke. "Emily, is it really you?" Her lips moved silently, but he understood the words. "You kept your promise." Tears fell down his face. I'm sorry I didn't stop you that night." Emily shook her head softly. "It wasn't your fault. I was lost, Ryan, but love never ends. You kept it alive." Mia giggled softly like she could see both of them together. "Mommy says we don't have to be sad anymore." Ryan smiled through his tears. "You were right, Emily. She's strong, just like you." Emily looked at them one last time, the way only a mother could, and whispered, "You'll have one tonight," the same words Ryan had said days ago, now returning to him with new meaning. The candlelight dimmed and the room slowly grew quiet again. The smell of lavender faded, leaving behind warmth, gentle, peaceful. Ryan held Mia close. She whispered, "Daddy, Mommy's gone." He smiled softly. "No, sweetheart, she's home." They sat together near the candle, watching its flame glow steady and calm. Outside, the rain stopped, and the clouds moved away, letting the moonlight fill the room. For the first time in years, Ryan felt something deep inside him settle. Not pain, not fear, but peace. He looked at Emily's picture on the wall. It no longer looked sad. It looked alive. And he whispered, "You'll always be with us." The flame flickered once like an answer. That night, Ryan slept beside Mia, holding her close. In his dream, Emily's voice whispered, soft and warm, "Thank you for keeping our love alive." When he woke up, morning light touched the photo frame. The handprint on the glass was gone, but the feeling stayed. Love had never really left. It had just changed its form from presence to peace, from words to warmth. Morning sunlight filled the small apartment, turning the white curtains golden. For the first time in years, the house felt alive again. The air no longer carried the weight of sorrow. It smelled of fresh coffee and toast. Ryan stood near the window, holding a mug in his hand. He looked at the glass where the words "I never left" had once appeared. The mark was gone, but the memory stayed. He whispered, "Good morning, Emily." Behind him, little Mia was sitting on the floor, feeding her doll with a toy spoon. She was humming softly the same lullaby her mother used to sing. Ryan listened for a while, smiling. The clock ticked. A new day had begun, not heavy with grief, but light with peace. After breakfast, Ryan helped Mia put on her tiny shoes. "Ready for school, sunshine?" he asked. Mia nodded. "Yes. Can we light the candle when I come back?" Ryan smiled. "Of course. We'll do it every night, remember?" She grinned, "'Cause Mommy likes it." They walked out together, the city waking up around them. For years, Ryan had walked with his head down, avoiding people's eyes. But today, he greeted. The neighbors even waved at the old lady who always watered her plants. It felt strange and good to smile again. At the garage, Mark noticed the change right away. "You look different, man," he said, handing him a wrench. "Got some rest finally?" Ryan chuckled. "Maybe. Or maybe I just stopped running from ghosts." Mark laughed. "Well, whatever you're doing, keep it up." Ryan worked better that day. Steady hands, lighter heart. Every turn of the wrench, every sound of the engine felt new. He wasn't just fixing cars. He was fixing pieces of himself. When the day ended, he picked up Mia and took her to the park instead of going straight home. She ran through the grass, chasing butterflies, laughing loudly. Ryan sat on the bench watching her, realizing how long it had been since he heard that sound. Pure joy. He whispered to himself, "This is what Emily wanted." That evening, they returned home just before sunset. The sky was painted orange and pink, the same colors Emily once said were her favorite. Mia placed the candle on the table. "Daddy, can I light it today?" Ryan nodded. "Go ahead. She struck the match carefully, her little hands shaking just a bit. The flame came alive, small but bright. They both watched it flicker. "Hi, Mommy," Mia said softly. "We had a happy day," Ryan added, "and we'll have more, I promise." The candlelight danced on their faces, warm and gentle. For a second, Ryan thought he saw a shadow move behind the photo, a soft outline of a woman's smile. But this time he didn't feel scared. He simply whispered, "Thank you." Days turned into weeks. Life didn't become perfect, but it became peaceful. Ryan started painting again, something he had stopped after Emily left. Mia's drawings filled the fridge door, each one brighter than the last. Every night before bed, they would light the candle, say their little prayer, and whisper goodnight to Mommy. Sometimes, when Ryan turned off the lights, the flame would flicker twice, like a reply. He didn't question it anymore. He just smiled. One Sunday, Ryan took Mia to the beach. The sky was clear, the waves gentle. Mia ran to the water, laughing. "Look, Daddy, it's like Mommy's song, soft and pretty." Ryan closed his eyes, feeling the wind on his face. The sound of the sea mixed with the memory of Emily's voice. He whispered, "Yeah, sweetheart, just like Mommy's song." Mia came running back, holding a seashell. "This one's for her," she said, placing it in his palm. "So she knows we're okay." Ryan looked at the small shell, glistening in the sunlight. He held it close to his heart. "We're okay, Emily," he said quietly. "We really are." That night, when they returned home, Ryan placed the seashell beside the candle. He looked at Mia, already half asleep in his arms, and whispered, "Love doesn't end, sweetheart. It just finds a new way to stay." He kissed. Her forehead turned off the lights, and for a brief moment, the candle glowed brighter, as if someone unseen was smiling too. The storm that had once broken their lives was finally over. What remained was peace, light, and a love that never truly left.